Kirk Douglas's early days were shaped by hardship as the son of impoverished Jewish immigrants in New York. Despite these challenges, his fierce determination led him to pursue acting, a dream fueled by his love for storytelling. Little did young Kirk know his path would eventually collide with Hollywood's most controversial period, the Blacklist era. By the late 1940s, the Red Scare gripped America, branding artists with suspected ties to communism as enemies. For Kirk, who was just breaking into Hollywood, the atmosphere was tense, but his relentless spirit promised he'd carve out a place no matter the obstacles. By the 1950s, Kirk Douglas had become a household name, celebrated for his intensity and on-screen charisma in films like Champion and Ace in the Hole. Directors admired his dedication, while audiences were captivated by his rugged good looks and magnetic presence. But as Kirk's star rose, so did his awareness of the darker undercurrents in Hollywood. Behind the glamour, fear pervaded the industry. Writers, actors, and directors were being blacklisted, unable to work due to accusations of communist sympathies. Kirk watched as colleagues vanished from credits, their careers destroyed overnight. Though he was relatively safe from suspicion, he bristled at the injustice. When offered the role of Spartacus in the epic film of the same name, Kirk knew he had an opportunity to make a difference. More than a sword and sandals drama, Spartacus was a story of rebellion and justice, one that mirrored Kirk's growing discontent with the industry's moral failures. Spartacus had its foundation in a screenplay by Dalton Trumbo, one of the most prominent writers blacklisted for his communist affiliations. Under the guise of pseudonyms, Trumbo had penned scripts that won Oscars, yet he could not claim credit due to the blacklist. Universal Studios hesitated to hire Trumbo openly, fearing backlash from the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAS. But Kirk Douglas, who had taken on the dual role of lead actor and producer, was adamant. "If we're telling a story about fighting oppression, we can't bow to it ourselves," he argued to the studio executives. Kirk's decision to openly credit Trumbo was unprecedented. Friends warned him of career suicide, and studio heads begged him to reconsider. Yet Kirk was resolute. He believed Hollywood's cowardice was strangling its creativity, and it was time for someone to take a stand. As filming began, whispers about Kirk's defiance spread through the industry, fueling both admiration and anxiety. The Spartacus set buzzed with tension. Kirk Douglas had assembled a stellar cast and crew, but the decision to hire Dalton Trumbo loomed over the production. Reporters sniffed around for gossip, and rumors circulated about potential boycotts. Kirk faced resistance not only from the press but also from within the production team. Some crew members worried about their own reputations, while others questioned whether Kirk's gamble was worth the risk. Yet Kirk remained unshaken. He made a point of introducing Trumbo as the screenwriter during meetings, forcing others to confront the man they had been taught to fear. Despite the stress, Kirk's leadership kept the production moving. Between takes, he gave impassioned speeches to rally the crew, reminding them that they were part of something historic. "This film is bigger than any of us," he said. "We're telling a story about freedom, not just for Spartacus, but for every voice that's been silenced." As Spartacus neared its release, backlash intensified. Influential figures in Hollywood, including HUAC supporters, lobbied to have the film boycotted. Letters poured in, accusing Kirk of being un-American for working with a blacklisted writer. Some cinemas refused to screen the film, fearing public outrage. Kirk, however, refused to back down. He appeared on television interviews, defending his decision to credit Dalton Trumbo. "This isn't about politics," he told one interviewer. "It's about integrity. A man's work should stand on its own merits, not be erased because of fear." Universal Studios executives, initially hesitant, began to rally behind Kirk as public support for his stance grew. The controversy surrounding Spartacus inadvertently became its greatest marketing tool, sparking debates about censorship and artistic freedom across the nation. Kirk realized that his defiance was igniting a conversation far larger than he had anticipated. When Spartacus premiered in October 1960, anticipation was high. Protesters gathered outside the theater, but inside, the atmosphere was electric. As the film unfolded, the audience was riveted. Kirk's portrayal of Spartacus, a man willing to sacrifice everything for freedom, resonated deeply with viewers. When Dalton Trumbo's name appeared in the credits, the audience erupted into applause. It was a moment of vindication, not just for Trumbo, but for every artist who had been silenced by the blacklist. Kirk sat in the audience, his heart pounding. He knew this was more than just a cinematic victory. It was a cultural turning point. Reviews praised both the film and Kirk's courage. Newspapers lauded his decision to credit Trumbo, calling it a bold strike for justice. Overnight, Kirk Douglas became more than a movie star. He was a symbol of Hollywood's potential for redemption. The success of Spartacus marked the beginning of the end for Hollywood's blacklist. Inspired by Kirk's bravery, other producers and directors began openly hiring blacklisted talent. Dalton Trumbo went on to write more acclaimed screenplays, finally able to use his real name. Kirk's decision had ripple effects beyond the film industry. His stand against censorship emboldened other artists to speak out against injustice, fostering a new era of creative freedom. While the blacklist would take years to fully dismantle, Spartacus was the catalyst for change. For Kirk, the victory was deeply personal. In interviews, he often spoke of his pride in standing up for what he believed was right. "If Spartacus taught me anything," he said, "it's that fighting for freedom is never easy, but it's always worth it." His courage inspired a generation, proving that one voice could indeed make a difference. In the years following Spartacus, Kirk Douglas continued to challenge conventions both on and off screen. He remained a vocal advocate for artistic freedom, supporting emerging filmmakers and standing up for marginalized voices. Looking back on his career, Kirk often cited Spartacus as his proudest achievement, not for the accolades it earned, but for the principles it upheld. "We all have a responsibility," he said in a later interview. "It's not enough to entertain. We must also enlighten." As Hollywood evolved, Kirk's legacy as a trailblazer remained intact. His decision to credit Dalton Trumbo became a defining moment in film history, taught in classrooms, and celebrated in retrospectives. Kirk Douglas was more than just an actor. He was a champion of courage, integrity, and the enduring power of storytelling. Kirk Douglas's stand against the blacklist was a testament to his character and his belief in justice. His legacy goes beyond his iconic roles to the principles he fought for, a reminder that courage can spark change. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold tales of legendary Hollywood stars. Together, let's celebrate the stories of those who shaped cinema's golden age and the values they stood for.